Fans of the Horus Heresy, thank you very much for joining me for a slightly tongue-in-cheek video made with great affection for our favourite sculptors of grimdark resin models, Forge World. I was on the Warhammer community website today and noticed that Forge World is about to release a Space Wolf specific variant of the Leviathan Siege Dreadnought, which is very nice and it looks a great model, very fluffy, literally and figuratively. And we've also got the upcoming release of the Astraeus Super Heavy Grav Tank for the Space Marines in 40k, or 42k as perhaps we should call it. And it did just make me think, there are some things that are still to tidy up in the Horus Heresy. So I thought I'd just make this video to kind of give you what I think my personal wish list is of models for the Horus Heresy armies, and why. I've not listed these in order of preference. They are essentially listed in chronological order that the faction was first introduced into the Horus Heresy. So I'm not putting any preference on these, but this is everything that I could think of. And I guess there's two reasons why I'm doing this video. One, just get people thinking about it, because there are a lot of us wanting to buy models to complete armies and other things that there doesn't appear to be any movement on doing these after several years. And also see if anyone else has got any views on models that Forge World has published rules for, but not actually done the figure or tank for. Without further ado, let's go. Forge World's to-do list, October 2017. It's been a while since I've done some nice graphics, so as I often like to do, I've written this out by hand. And we're going to play overhead striptease and do these one at a time. The first faction is the Mechanicum. I guess by saying this is the first faction, this is the first faction I think has missing stuff. Of course, the Space Marine Legion, the original faction introduced in the Horus Heresy, I think has everything. But maybe I'm wrong. If so, let me know in the comments. So the first thing that the Mechanicum haven't had is the Thanatar Sinus or Sinus Siege Automata. So this is essentially a short-range kill-it-all plasma weapon variant of the standard Thanatar with a Helix plasma mortar. It's a really fluffy unit in the context of the game. It brings something new. It's like short-range plasma death. Now, people might say we don't need more short-range plasma death, but hey-ho, I thought I'd mention it. It's a good one to call out because it's essentially just a reskin, or it's an adaptation of an existing sculpt. So that's the first one. The second thing is the Arlatax Battle Automata. Now this was penned in book 6, if I remember rightly. Book 6 Retribution, yes. And it is a jump capable close assault version of a battle automata. So we don't really know how big it is, whether or not it's the size of, say, a Domitar, or if it's Castellax size. Conceptually, it was a really cool unit. The rules are in the book, but we've never actually had the model. Now the next one I put a question mark against because it is up for debate, and that is Anacaris Scuria. And this is the named character from book 6, and I just forget what his name is it the Tyrant of Xanophane? I think it is, yes. Anacaris Scuria is basically what happens if a Mechanicum Tech Magos goes all combat-y. So yeah, very interesting character. There's an argument that you could use the alternate head on Archmagos Dracovac kit to represent him. But, might be nice to have a sculpt as well. It'd be a good tribute miniature to the late great Alan Bligh as well, because Anacaris Scuria was his, I believe, favourite character. And that's everything for the Mechanicum, which then brings us to the Solar Auxilia. Let's see what the Solar Auxilia could use. So the first thing is the Command Section Veterans, and this is a glaring omission in my view from the model range of the Solar Auxilia. Basically, we got the command set from Forge World, which is the officers, the specialists, like the Strategios, but it did contain two veterans, one armed with a grenade launcher, one armed with a melter gun. Absolutely beautiful models, but we haven't had the models to represent either the other weapon options that are available to the veterans, or indeed the additional veterans that you can buy to increase the size of a Solar Auxilia command section. That's kind of like a really obvious one, and there isn't an easy miniature substitute for those. I guess you could convert Las Rifle Section Troopers, or you could convert Velataris, but neither are that good. They haven't got the right weapons, and the conversion work required would be huge. So that is one that's really missing. Second is even more conspicuous by its absence is the Medicaid attachment, and basically with the medics we got the character series set of Avos Jovan, which, yes, okay, so we got the special character and a couple of medical orderlies, but really what you want a set just like the Legion get, which is either 2 or 3 apothecary miniatures in a set on its own. bish bash bosh, simple. The Medicaid attachment with Avis Joven is too expensive to kit out your whole army. I did buy 2 of that set. It was a bit of a painful cost hit, let me tell you. The Medicaid attachment is missing. The next thing is rapier battery weapon options. So we've got the multi-laser and we've got the quad mortar, but there are still some more that we need. They've done these for the legions already, so there's not a lot of work there to flesh them out for solar auxiliary options. As they've got the crew already sculpted, it's just doing the compatibility and adjustment between the two, so that will be an easy win. Now the next one is a very versatile option if Forge World were to do it, and that is a Malcador tank armed with a battle cannon and a demolisher cannon. Yeah, okay, poor quality graphics, I ran out of space. At the moment you have to buy 2 kits to do this, and it's really annoying. That's very simple, all the parts are there, all they need to do is rebag it as a new variant, demolisher cannon in the hull, battle cannon in the citadel, easy peasy. They could also put some multi-lasers on as well, and that's everything for the solar auxiliary. Now there is a bit of a sculptor problem with these, because the guy who originally sculpted these, and I thank 1D4Chan for the information, is called Edgar Skoromowski, I believe, if I've pronounced that correct. Apologies if not, if you're listening. And he left Forge World. The sculpting of the solar auxiliary was then handed over to Israel Gonzalez, who I believe did the Velataris with power axes, but who has also left Forge World. Yeah, I understand why they've not done them, but you know, you are Forge World, you got the resources to buy the talent in, you've got really talented sculptors already, you know, be good to get these out so we can use them. And this one here I think would just sell really well in general. Now the final things that are missing are from the final faction that has been introduced into the Heresy, and yay, it's our favourite golden bananas, the custards, the talons of the Emperor. Now, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about the Horus Heresy era variant of the army list, not the 41st millennium one. Although I'm sure some of these would have applications in M42 gaming. What have we got for the talons? Unfortunately for the talons, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, these again were sculpted by Israel Gonzalez, who no longer works for Forge World. I think he set his own company up now, doing some very nice models. They did a great job of doing all of the custodians, then they've missed out on addressing a whole bunch of stuff for the Sisters of Silence. So it'd be really good to increase the diversity of this force if Forge World got these models done. The first is a character, the Sisters of Silence Oblivion Knight Centaura. So this is basically your unnamed HQ choice for the Sisters of Silence. Be nice to see that. The next is the Excruciatus Cadre, which is like an elite choice, like a bodyguard choice for the commander. And they have weapon options that you don't get in the plastic set or the existing resin component options that have been given. Next we have one custodian who sneaked through, and this is Constantin Valdor. I think this project has been on hold for a long time because of the fact that Mr. Gonzalez left. I've seen some early renders of this from a long while ago, but clearly they've not yet got someone to pick the project up. In terms of doing models for this range though, Constantin Valdor for me is actually way down the list. I think they need to deal with the Sisters of Silence troop options first before they come back to do this guy. The next is a named character for the Sisters of Silence, Jennifer Kroll, who led the Sisters of Silence detachment in the Battle of Prospero. It'd be great to see how they would do a rendition of that character, and unusual for Forge World to get a female named character in the Horus Heresy. This is a bit of a corner case. The custodians have an elite choice called the Heteron Guard, who wear standard custodian armour. They're not Terminators, but they have some weapon options that aren't covered in the plastic custodian set. They would double up in the standard Guardian squad for their options as well. The next is the Oblivion Knight Cadre. More weapon options again for the Sisters of Silence, and maybe they could give the models a distinct look, I don't know. I don't see why they don't just do all of these Sisters of Silence troop options as resin conversion components for the plastic miniatures. And the final thing on the whole list is the Sisters of Silence Pursuer Cadre. That's actually probably the one I'd like to see the most in a way, because these are the ones that are armed with the cybernetic hunting falcons and hounds and all that sort of stuff. It'd be great to see those ladies as well. And you know, I mean, they could be quite think outside the box with the Sisters of Silence. They could probably create a weapon set of resin components that would allow people to create the special weapon options that you need to fill out these choices here. There you go, that is my Forge World's to-do list for October 2017, or you could call it the Leakycheese Horus Heresy wish list if you prefer. That's my wish list. What's your wish list? Let me know in the comments. But other than that, I'd just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.